Hello and welcome to another edition of the Class Spotlight series. Today we will be taking a look at Druid. In the first few weeks of the Descent of Dragons meta, Druid has really struggled to find any success whatsoever, and it currently has no top-tier archetypes. However, there are certainly some interesting Druid lists out there that are worth experimenting with, and you can use Druid archetypes to win certain matchups quite consistently. Before we begin, we just wanted to take a moment to thank you for your continued support across all of our Hearthstone content. 5 years ago, on January 9th, we officially released our first meta snapshot, and we can't thank you enough for continuing to support and follow us to this day. Without further ado, let's begin. The most competitive Druid deck at the moment continues to be Quest Druid. Despite the fact that the archetype received basically no new tools from the Descent of Dragons, and despite the loss of Kun the Forgotten King with the end of the Doom in the Tomb event, Quest Druid maintains some favorable matchups. It does especially well against the slowest decks in the meta like Control Warrior, and the most aggressive decks like Face Hunter. The issue with Quest Druid in this specific meta is that its worst matchups are against greedy mid-range decks, and there are a ton of those at the moment. Overall, it would be relatively hard to climb with Quest Druid on ladder, but it is worth keeping an eye on in case the meta shifts, and it can be worth considering in some tournament lineups. The next archetype we will look at is Dragon Druid. While this deck is more of a for fun archetype, it can do some very powerful things from time to time. Breath of Dreams is one of the strongest cards in the whole Descent of Dragons expansion, and other new cards like Frizz Kindleroost, Ysera, Unleashed, and Dragon Queen Alexstrasza do very well in the deck as well. Currently, there are two main ways to build the deck, as people are trying out both Highlander and non-Highlander versions of the deck. The non-Highlander list is probably slightly stronger, but since neither list is particularly competitive, you should probably just test out the version that you find most interesting. Recently, the non-Highlander version of the deck has started running the new card Embiggen to serve as another form of pseudo-ramp. This card allows you to play bigger threats even faster, and is especially strong when combined with the ramp provided by Breath of Dreams. While Token Druid is the last Druid archetype we will be covering today, it is really a collection of different archetypes which are relatively similar to one another. There's the traditional aggressive version with lots of 1 and 2 drops, as well as magnetic synergies like Replicating Menace and Snip Snap. There is a Dragon Ramp list with Breath of Dreams, which Board Control created, and there is also a Treant synergy-based list, which also runs Embiggen. There are different reasons for playing each different Token Druid list. The mech version beats mid-range decks with limited board clears like Highlander Hunter and Galakron Shaman. The Dragon list beats greedier decks like Highlander Mage, and the Embiggen list does well at refilling against decks which have board clears, so it will have a less hard time in Token Druid's unfavorable matchups. None of these decks are anywhere above tier 3 in the current meta, but they are competitive enough to climb with if you play them right. Additionally, Token Druid is still a relatively unexplored archetype and could be improved as new lists are discovered. Overall, Druid is probably the weakest class in Hearthstone at the moment, with no decks that even make their way as high as tier 2, but that is not to say that the class does not have its place. Both Quest Druid and Token Druid can be very useful decks in tournament lineups and at the right times on ladder, and as long as you correctly identify those times, finding success with Druid is definitely possible. We hope you have enjoyed this new edition of the Tempo Storm Class Spotlight series. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for plenty more Hearthstone content, and let us know in the comments which class you would like to see us take a look at next. Thanks for watching!